You know, for over 100 years, one name has been the absolute gold standard for luxury, for craftsmanship, and, let's be honest, for pure prestige in the car world, Rolls-Royce. So we're going to dive into the incredible story of how this brand didn't just build cars, but actually became a global synonymous for the absolute best of the best.
And it really all started right here, with this one line in a magazine way back in 1907. This wasn't just a good review, it was basically a coronation. This single quote would go on to define the company's entire mission for the next 100+ years and set this impossibly high bar that, honestly, it's still chasing today.
Which really makes you wonder, how did that happen? I mean, this was no accident. It was the result of a chance meeting, what turned out to be a perfect partnership, and a completely relentless obsession with perfection.
And yeah, that partnership is exactly where our story kicks off, with two guys from completely different worlds who just happen to share one single vision. So on one side, you've got Charles Rolls. Think aristocrat, Cambridge-educated, a super talented salesman running a high-end car dealership in London. He was on the hunt for a truly top-tier British car for his wealthy clients. And on the other side, Henry Royce, a brilliant, self-taught engineer who was so disgusted by the shoddy quality of the cars available that he just started building his own in Manchester. So you have the visionary meeting the perfectionist. And things just took off incredibly fast. That legendary meeting, it happened in May of 1904. Rolls was so blown away that he made a super simple deal right then and there. I will sell every single car you can build. By the end of that same year, they were showing off a car in Paris. And just 2 years after that, they were already set up in New York, building this reputation for reliability that at the time was absolutely revolutionary.
But Charles Rolls had another love, a brand new and really dangerous invention, the airplane. He was a true pioneer of the skies, a seriously accomplished pilot, and one of the very first people to buy an aircraft from the Wright brothers themselves.
And so tragically, this passion would end up costing him everything. In July 1910, the tail of his Wright Flyer just snapped off during an air show. Charles Rolls was killed instantly. He became Britain's first aviation fatality. And just like that, the dynamic partnership was over. Henry Royce was left to carry their shared dream forward, all on his own.
But Royce, he did carry on. And in the years that followed, he would oversee the creation of the very car and the very symbols that would cement the Rolls-Royce legend for all time.
So the car that actually earned that famous title? It was this one, a 4050 horsepower. Its brand new 6-cylinder engine was so unbelievably smooth and quiet compared to the clattering machines of the day that one specific silver-painted model got the nickname the Silver Ghost. The name just stuck, and its ghostly silence and frankly incredible reliability became the stuff of legend.
Then, in 1911, another icon was born, and this might be the most famous hood ornament on the planet. Officially, it's called the Spirit of Ecstasy, but this graceful silver lady has been guiding Rolls-Royce cars for well over a century now.
But here's where the story gets really interesting. She was modeled on a real person, a woman named Eleanor Thornton. Now, she was the secretary, and it's pretty widely believed, the mistress of a nobleman who was a huge early customer. He actually commissioned his own private version of the mascot, called the Whisper, which shows Eleanor with a finger to her lips, supposedly a symbol of their secret love affair.
All right, so the brand's core identity was forged. Now, let's fast forward and see how it evolved through the rest of the 20th century, navigating changing times, new owners, and, well, new tastes. Okay, have a look at this number, 30,057. What do you think that could possibly represent?
Well, that is the grand total for the Silver Shadow. Launched back in 1965, it had a much more modern design, and it became, by a long shot, the best-selling Rolls-Royce ever. This was the car that brought the brand to rock royalty, guys like Elvis Presley and John Lennon, a whole new generation of buyers who made it a symbol of 60s and 70s cool.
But, of course, that success didn't last forever. By the time the 80s and 90s rolled around, the designs just felt dated. The technology was falling behind. The cars, as our source material says, were getting long in the tooth, and these precision-engineered competitors from Germany were starting to look like the new hotness. The legend was starting to fade.
So it was pretty clear a new direction was needed, big time, and that came in the form of a totally dramatic corporate buyout that would split the company in two and set the stage for an absolutely remarkable comeback.
And what came next was one of the weirdest deals in the history of the car industry. So in this big bidding war, Volkswagen ends up buying the company, which came with the Bentley brand and the historic Rolls-Royce factory.
But here's the twist. BMW already owned the rights to the Rolls-Royce name and the logo. So VW had the factory, but BMW had the brand itself. I mean, think about that. BMW now owned the most famous luxury name in the world, but they had to start completely from scratch.
So facing this unbelievable challenge, they came up with this really clear and seriously audacious plan. Step 1. Build a brand new cutting-edge factory. Step 2. Design a completely new car from a clean sheet of paper, zero carryover parts, that was worthy of the name. And Step 3. Launch it to the world as the Phantom VC, a massive statement that Rolls-Royce was back.
And look, this wasn't just about building a new car. This was about reclaiming that title of best in the world by totally redefining what luxury even meant in the 21st century.
All right, here's another number for you. 44,000. This time it's not how many cars they sold. Any guesses what this one is?
That was the number of exterior paint colors a customer could choose for their new Phantom. 44,000. And that was just the beginning. You could have any color leather, any kind of wood. You could get your family crest stitched into the headrest. This extreme level of personalization was the key. A Rolls-Royce was no longer just a car you bought, it was a unique statement you commissioned.
And the massive success of the Phantom allowed the brand to grow. They brought out the Ghost, pull in a slightly younger owner-driver type. They launched sportier coupes and convertibles. And then, in a move that honestly shocked the traditionalists, but turned out to be wildly successful, they launched their first ever SUV, the Cullinan, perfectly capturing where the luxury market was headed.
So the company has navigated over a century of incredible change to define what ultimate luxury is. But as we head into this electric, autonomous, and just rapidly changing future, the challenge is bigger than ever. So the question we're left with is, what does it actually take to be the best in the world for another 100 years?